Hey guys, Coach Gaglione here. This is another edition of our Gags Goals Updates. If it's your first time listening, I'm Coach Gaglione. This is Gaglione Strength. And I've been involved in competitive powerlifting and strength coaching for over 13 years. And this kind of vlog is chronicling my own training and my own weight loss journey. I've been as heavy as 340 pounds. And today, my chubby little self weighed in at an all-time low of 216 and a half. So I'm officially down over 120 pounds all time. So I'm very, very excited about that. I've been consistently weighing under 220 this week, and if you guys have been watching for a while, this is our Road to 198 series, so I'm kind of knocking on the door. I'm within 20 pounds, so that's good. So I'm within striking distance of a water cut right now. My goal is to kind of maintain around 215. Like I said, this was an all-time low weigh-in, so I don't know if this is like my set point or not. Only time will tell. I've been consistently weighing about 220. If I can consistently weigh 215 in the morning, I'm probably going to try to shift into more of a maintenance mode versus being in a deficit for the remainder of the training cycle. And I'm about 6 to 7 weeks until the meet, maybe about 6 weeks of actual training or so, if my math is correct. But anyway, it's getting close. I will be competing in an RPS meet. I'm staying local this time. Did a lot of traveling the last couple of years for competing, so I'm just going to kind of stay local for this one. I'm going to be in Newark, New Jersey, doing the Autumn Apocalypse RPS meet, the Ramada Plaza. Which it's always nice if you've ever competed in like a ballroom. You can kind of just get the hotel and you kind of roll out of bed and you're at the weigh-ins, you're at the meet, you can get your rack heights and all that good stuff. So, and I don't need to try to. If you ever try to pack a canvas squat suit in a suitcase, that is not fun. So, but that's a story for another day. So I am an equipped lifter, so that is something to consider. Is just like traveling and getting all your gear on a plane and stuff. If you're just a raw with wraps lifter or a raw lifter with sleeves, there's not as much equipment you need to bring with you. So traveling can be a hassle. So that's one of the reasons why I'm just electing to stay local for a couple of meets. As long as it's within driving distance, I think that'll be okay. I don't want to kind of get into too much of what my goals are after the meet, but I might do a squat only meet in December as well with Bench and Benny. But anyways, let's kind of recap the week. So as I mentioned before, I'll kind of start with the diet stuff and then I'll kind of get into the training for the week. Things have been going well. I've been kind of using an abbreviated feeding window, so some people call that like intermittent, not intermittent, but intermittent fasting. It's hard to say, a little tongue twister there. So I'm just kind of restricting my feeding window a little bit, and the reason why I find that's been helpful, I tend to do the majority of my work and my coaching later at night. Don't always have time to eat, and I just felt like it made sense just to kind of move my eating up a bit. So usually my last meal of the day is somewhere between like 1 and 3 or 1 to 2, depending on the day and depending on what errands I'm running that particular day. If my training goes later or not, if I'm doing some social media stuff, it really depends. But I try to get all my calories in, all my food in. Typically somewhere between like 6:30 a.m. to again like 1 to 2 p.m. So it's just kind of in that like it's anywhere from like a 6 to 8 hour feeding window, depending on like what my first meal is and depending on what my last meal is, but it's going to be anywhere between 6 to 8 hours. What's nice about like kind of having that restricted feeding window, you don't really need to prep your food when you're fasting. You're kind of just done. You don't have to think about it. So there's a lot less decision-making fatigue. So, and I will have an episode on our podcast. And if you're not familiar with our podcast, it's Powerlifting for the People. You should definitely check that out on iTunes and give us a 5-star review. It helps other people find us. We kind of go into more in-depth topics on that, our program philosophy and things. So I will probably do an episode of fasting at some point. I used to kind of think that the fasting was not really magic or anything, but it does seem to be working. But I think the magic is really, it's just by restricting the feeding window, if it helps you with consistency and it helps you stay in a calorie deficit, ultimately that's where the magic happens. So the other thing that I've been doing is doing at least a 24-hour fast once a week. I don't train on Saturdays. I usually just do some light walking or yoga. I don't do any weight training. So I've been fasting usually from anywhere from like 11 to 12. On Friday, I'll have my last meal, and then I'll usually fast at least till 12 o'clock the next day. I'm experimenting with a kind of a fasting cycle. I don't know if this is going to be good or not, but just to challenge myself a little bit more. So over the last 3 weeks, since I've implemented the 24-hour fast, in week 1 I did a 24-hour fast, in week 2 I did a 27-hour fast, and in week 3, which was this past weekend, I did a 30-hour fast. So I think I went from like 11 to 5 or something. So 11 on Friday till 5 o'clock on Saturday the next day. I don't think I'll do more than 5 till 5 o'clock. I don't think I'll do more than a 30-hour fast, at least for this meat prep, just because I still want to get enough calories and protein in. and I don't think I'll have enough time to do so if I extend the fast any later than that. But I do plan on trying a little bit more fasting after the meet, but it has helped me drop some body fat, and especially my squatting and deadlifting strength has been still really good, just because I'm still having a lot of my carbohydrate, a lot of my calories around my training time, and I think that's been really effective for me personally. So I don't recommend fasting before like a heavy squat or deadlift workout. I don't recommend fasting on days where you're doing heavy weight training or on days where performance really matters. So I'm just sharing what works for me. I am not a dietitian, I am not a doctor, I'm not an expert on this thing, but I'm just sharing my experience on what's kind of helping me. Because I've been kind of stuck in like that 230, 240 range for about a year, and this is really kind of helping me. This is like one of my last ACE cards I played. We kind of mentioned before, one of our philosophies is kind of minimum effective dose changes, and that goes for programming, and that goes for diet. I've kind of first heard that, I've heard that term a lot obviously, but I want to give credit to probably Matt Reynolds and Barbell Logic. They kind of use that language quite often, and I think it's really good, so I want to continue to share that language with you. I think it's really important, because a lot of times we kind of play our ACE cards too soon, so we start fasting, we start dropping all our carbs, we start doing all this crazy cardio. So we want to kind of play those cards one at a time. I've kind of mentioned before, I'm doing pretty minimal cardio. I'm only doing maybe 20 minutes 3 times a week, not including any long walks, but in the past I've done really, really crazy cardio, sometimes an hour plus a day. So that's just a little example of maybe if you're just starting out. I don't think fasting is, maybe just get a handle on just eating whole foods, getting your protein requirement, hydration and sleep. Make sure you dial in those big rocks first. Fasting is more of like kind of, if you know, that whole analogy of a jar, you put the big rocks in first, you always have more room for like sand and water and pebbles, etc. So I'd say the fasting is more of kind of a pebbles or sand kind of thing. Those are the things you're going to add in later. But those are some things that I'm changing nonetheless, so I figured I'd share with you guys. I mentioned before, my shoulder's been essentially effed up, excuse my French, so I just got to tone it back a little bit for now. I kind of went against my own advice, and I had a bad workout, and to be honest now, I would love to have that bad workout of benching 440 sloppy, because I think that'd be challenging right now. So my performance dropped in the bench. I panicked. I did another heavy session like a couple of days later, and that really set me back. So shoulder's been progressively getting better, but I've really set myself behind, so I'm going to need to be patient and just get healthy. I've been going very light. I did a dynamic bench workout this past Friday. I only used 135, and I used I think under 185 for my incline pressing. So I'm keeping the pressing very, very light, especially raw, because I am kind of flaring and having trouble keeping this right side tucked. This was the original shoulder that I heard at Reebok Record Breakers. It's kind of flared up again, so I'm being cautious with that. That being said, squats and deadlifts feel really, really good. We just kind of started doing more. We're putting more of we always have team training, but I'm putting more of an emphasis on it. I'm being more strict with who we allow on the team. I'm being more strict with who we invite to our team workouts. I'm being more strict with our rules and guidelines, and it's a privilege to train with our team at Gags Strength. We're not just going to let anyone on it. I'm being even more selective in the future. I only want to kind of keep our team between like 15 and 20 people, and we're going to be very selective moving forward. It's not to say that you can't train here, but it's going to mean a lot more to be on our team moving forward. So we've been having these more kind of organized team workouts, and one of like the first workouts with quote unquote what we call the AM crew. And if you're familiar with Westside Barbell, but it's kind of like just a callback to like Westside, you know, Louis' AM crew, and they have the AM crew and the PM crew. And you know, the AM crew always kind of train with Louis, so I'm kind of like, not that I'm anywhere near Louis' level, but I'm kind of like the Louis Simmons here. So anyone that kind of trains in my group, we're kind of calling the AM crew, because we train in the morning. And that's kind of when the more serious and kind of committed people have been coming in when they can. We've had some great workouts so far. We did a Thomson style squat today that's popularized by Thomson, where you just simply add chain weights to the bar. And typically in this particular workout, we'll do 5 sets of 2. And we make modifications based on if the lifter is raw or equipped. Everyone kind of had a similar strength level on this particular day, so it worked out very well. So we had Anthony Lazarus, we had Brandon Horn, we had Leo, and my chubby little self. Leo and myself are equipped lifters. We use a loose pair of briefs, so at least I use a loose pair of briefs. Leo uses a tight pair of briefs, but that's neither here nor there. Brandon and Anthony Lazarus did just free squats because they're raw lifters, so we just kind of modified the workout to kind of fit their needs, and it worked out really well. We started out with 420 pounds, so it's 4 plates on each shot on our I think it's a Mastodon squat bar, just 60-pound barbell. And we started with 80 pounds of chain, and we just worked on explosiveness for the first couple of sets. And we just added 40 pounds of chain every single set, so for 5 sets of 2. We did 80 pounds of chain, 120, 160, 200, 240, 280. So that top set was 700 at the top. And it moved really good. I was really happy, and if you could see the video, I actually got a lot of comments on my Instagram this morning. Like, dude, you got to get a new pair of briefs, da-da-da. And it's like, yes, I'm very aware. Those are meant to be loose briefs. They're meant to be training briefs. The point is actually to support, and it's actually not to get a carryover. The way I set up my training is that I might have a training brief on 1 week, I might have a tight brief another week, and then I might be in my full suit 1 week, and I might be raw another week. So there's a progression there. So I know a lot of people will be like, oh yeah, I'm just wearing like equipment to protect my hips. Well, in this case, it's actually true. Wearing a training brief or a loose brief is going to allow you to have a more specific competition stance without beating up your hips. It's going to help work your skill a little bit more without overloading myself too much. So for me to handle 700 pounds at the top, and that felt very comfortable. It felt like I didn't really pause the first rep. I kind of touch and go with the first rep. But the second rep I moved really well, and it was more, I kind of more squatted to the box in the first rep, so that was a little sloppy. Second rep was really good, but both reps moved really clean. So I was very happy with how that workout went. Team atmosphere was really good. We really pushed each other. We moved at a good pace. It was really cool. I love the team training. You get the verbal cueing, you get the constant feedback, you get the support, you get the good spotters. So if you ever like in the Long Island area and we have some open workouts, usually like once a month, shoot us a DM, shoot me an email to gaglionstrength@gmail.com. We'd love to have you. We also have, if you're in the Pennsylvania area, so I'll kind of give you guys Hellertown, we're going to do a squat party at Ironstone Barbell. And we'll include links in the description below because we have a Facebook link for that. It's September 28th at 10 a.m. It's at Hellertown, PA. It's at Maggie's gym in Ironstone Barbell. It's amazing. She's got all the toys. Maggie and Lowell are 2 lifters that I coach out of there. They're very accomplished lifters. Maggie's like close to like a 450 deadlifter at 165, and then Lowell is close to an 800-pound squatter, and 8 plus. He's like an 850 deadlifter. It's a great gym, so definitely check it out if you want to get some hands-on coaching. It's a free workout, but you have to reserve your spot, and everyone will get a free Are You Ready to Compete book. That's our next open squat workout. That's in Hellertown, PA on Saturday. And if you're local to Long Island, we also have an open squat workout at 11:30 a.m. That'll be Sunday, September 29th. So if you're in the PA area or if you're in the New York area, the East Coast area, you got 2 opportunities to train with my chubby little self. So check out a team workout. It'd be great for you guys. So that's my shameless plug for the vlog today. After that, we did belt squats, and we really pushed the envelope here. We really tried to push the pace. As I mentioned before, I'm doing all the belt squats in my flat shoes to be more specific moving forward. A little bit wider stance, a little bit more of a hip dominant squat, so I'm kind of done using my heeled shoes for the belt squat. I did 495 for a set of 8 paws, and then we did a drop set. I did 495 for 8, followed by 405 for more dynamic reps. So I did 16 total reps. That was very challenging, so that was good. So that was more of like a repetition effort method. We did more kind of dynamic work in the beginning with the Thomson style squat, and we did more repetition effort method with the belt squats. Onto bench workout. I mentioned before, I had to kind of swallow my pride a little bit, and Elvis did a good job of not letting me be trained like an asshole. So I did my raw work with about 160 pounds and 80 pounds of chain on the axle bar. It moved really good, but my right shoulder was being sloppy, so it moved quickly, but sloppy technique. Once I was able to put the slingshot on, things cleaned up a lot, which makes me feel positive that if I put a loose bench shirt on, I'll still be able to kind of perform to a good competition standard, because last meet I was not able to really hit any clean benches. I think, get 2 white lights on my, I don't remember if it was 2 or 3 white lights, but I did get credit for my opener. I had to hit it 3 times, but I did get credit for like my opener, which basically was should be like a last warm up. But I'm confident this time around. I'm going to be more prepared, so I just need to be patient. I was able to did a couple of sets in the 220 range. I did 200, 220, and 200 with 80 pounds of chain for triples in the slingshot. That felt good. After that, I did some did some close grip benching with my feet up with 110 pounds and 80 pounds of chain. So just kept things really light and explosive with the raw stuff, and then it worked up a little bit heavier in the slingshot. I was able to hit a PR on the seal rows Elvis, I'm coming for you for the Seal Road belt. I worked up to 235 for 6. I missed the 7th rep, so I stopped there. That was kind of like so I AMRAP 235, and then I did a couple of down sets of 5 in the 215 range. My Seal Row is going up. My upper back is getting stronger, so I'm happy about that. I figured if I'm going to push whatever I can, so I really couldn't push the raw pressing. So if I could get my Seal Row to be stronger, why not? Focus on what you can control, not what you can't. It's a good lesson learned there. Deadlifts feel really good. I feel like my hips are getting really strong. My back's getting really strong, and I'll kind of explain why. So I did dynamic deadlifts with the Volkswagen Beetle, and also Carrie and Melon did really well today. So I had the girls work up with chains. Melon used 60 pounds of chain, and Carrie used 40 pounds of chain, which is kind of appropriate for their maxes. I think Mel worked up to 295 and 60 pounds of chain for a strong double, and I think Carrie worked up to 225 and 40 pounds of chain. And we're cleaning up her lockout a lot. They looked really strong today. They looked good. I also had them do, since they're both sumo deadlifters, we're not going to be doing as much conventional work as well as with myself. One of the things I like to do for sumo lifters is still get some sort of lower back work. So even if we're not doing conventional deadlifts, because since we're later in the training cycle, we're going to do more specific work. We're going to just make sure we get some sort of lower back, kind of close stance, kind of something to mimic a conventional stance. So I did the belt squat good morning, which I'll get to in a second. I had the girls do these barbell back extensions, which I first saw probably Pete Rubish do them. I know GL How Strong, Josh Bryant programs them a lot. It's something that I've been doing. I've actually been doing them on Monday as part of my accessories, which I don't do at Gaglione Strength. I'll usually use about a 100-pound barbell, and I'll do like sets of 15 to 20. Try to get up. Sometimes I'll dead stop in the bottom. Sometimes I'll do dynamic reps. I kind of switch up the tempo and how I do them and the pauses. But those are really good to learn to engage the lats, learn to contract the glutes, and hold the lower back in isometric fashion. If you watch Mel do them and you watch Carrie do them, Carrie has more of like a glute emphasis back extension where her spine's more neutral and maybe a slightly rounded upper back. And Mel does them with a more arched back style, so it's going to be a little bit more lower back and hamstring dominant. So depending on what muscles you want to work, you can potentially just switch up the style. I like to do glute. I get a lot of lower back. I tend to get extension-based lower back pain, so I tend to do more of like what Carrie does, more neutral spine, low glute emphasis back extension. So, but both can be valuable. It just depends on what your goal is and if you have any kind of injury or pathology in like your low back. So something to consider. Really, it's a great movement if maybe you're a sumo deadlifter and maybe you don't really like to conventional deadlift that often. It's a good kind of in-between exercise to you could still build up pretty strong. And so the barbell back extension is a great exercise, I highly recommend. So on to our speed work. So we did 5 sets of 2 reps at 315 pounds. I use a strong band. How much band tension is that? It's a green band. I don't know. We can put a fishhook scale. We can do a weight scale. I don't really care too much about that. As long as you set up the bands consistently every time and you track your weights and track your PRs and those weights, I don't get really too wrapped up with the band tension. That's just my personal opinion. It's just kind of food for thought. As long as I know that I'm getting stronger, I'm not really concerned with what the band tension is, because your stance width, how tall the lifter is, these are all factors to consider. If you're going sumo or conventional, all those things are going to affect the distance, how much tension you actually get. So as long as you just kind of understand that the more band tension you have, the less the bar weight is, and if those numbers are going up, you're getting stronger. So you could also obviously measure things like bar velocity with something like an open barbell or a rep 1. I like the open barbell. I haven't used the new one because it doesn't really seem like there's not that many features, but velocity training is a whole other thing, and maybe we'll do an episode on that at some point. We could talk about the uses of that. Anyways, after that, I elected to put a loose suit on. I kind of mentioned to Elvis and the team that a lot of the gear that I used to wear when I was like 240, 260, those pieces of equipment are really good for just training briefs or like a training suit, because they're looser. I can get on in like 20 seconds. And again, it's allowing me to train the pattern more specifically without overloading as much, so which is good. So I did 315 for 5 sets of 2 raw. I threw my loose jack suit on. I did 385, 455, and 495 for a double. And that was definitely the most I've ever done with bands on. It felt good. I felt really good. I feel like my positioning is getting better. I feel like my hips are getting stronger. The speed work actually felt like speed work this week, so that was like good. I felt like I was really like crushing the weights. My acceleration off the floor is much better. My positioning off the floor feels much better. everything feels good. I feel like my positioning is dialed in more. My grip feels good. Pulls and squats feel pretty awesome, so I'm excited to see what I could do in the full equipment today. And like I mentioned before, even though I'm lighter, I still feel very strong in my squats and my deadlifts. My positioning is the best it's ever been, I feel like. So I feel like I'm really learning my body, and I feel like everything's coming together with the lower body stuff, so I'm very happy about that. Afterwards, we did a low block pull. The low block pull is really great for to ingrain the proper mechanics off the floor. Since it's a little bit easier to maintain positions, since you're slightly elevated, it's going to really help build your confidence, it's going to help build your hip strength, and help ingrain those positions at the bottom. One thing that's kind of important to note when we're talking about different ranges of motion and block heights and isometrics and things like that, even though the block pull is like an elevated platform, I do think it really helps your start because it's just a slight elevation, and it's going to help kind of, again, ingrain a proper start position. So even though you might think of a block pull, a low block pull as a lockout exercise, I do think especially for the sumo deadlift, it's an excellent kind of builder to your start, actually. And since you don't have as much kind of range of motion to kind of get the weight moving, it's usually the block pull is a little harder to get started and a little easier to lock out. So something to consider. So I did 2 sets of 8 at 455, felt pretty comfortable. I'm looking, that's just probably honestly some of the strongest my block pulls I've felt in a while. So I'm excited to continue to progress on those. Normally if my block pull goes up, my deadlift goes up. So that's a good indication that I should be pulling north of 650. I don't want to, that last time I jinxed myself, so hopefully I won't jinx myself again, but so I'm just kind of putting that out there in the universe. That feels really good. And then I hit a PR, I believe, on the belt squat good morning. I did 2 sets of 8 with 455. So like I mentioned before, since I'm doing more specific work, more wide stance variations, I'm doing close stance, more conventional stance, belt squat good mornings to build up my lower back and hamstrings. So I did a set of 8 with 455, and then I did a drop set of 455 and then 365. We just took the plates off, so I did 8 and 8. So similar to what I did with the belt squat on Sunday, I did a similar thing with the belt squat good morning on Thursday. Holy ham hocks, that was tough. I was burning at the end of it, so my hamstrings were feeling really good. I'm getting a good contraction, isometric contraction in my lower back. And I feel like I'm recovering a lot better from these versus traditional good mornings. Like I mentioned before, I used to be very, very good at good mornings. Unfortunately, there's no good morning like world record or competition. At my heaviest, I was able to do 600, so 6 plates, 605, 6 plates on a cambered squat bar for a set of 5 raw. That's when I was like squatting close to 900 pounds in just a pair of briefs. So that was probably when I was at my strongest. So I feel like I'm getting my back strength, not quite up to that point, but as strong as I can pound for pound. So I'm looking forward to maybe hit like something around like a 500 pound good morning next week. So we're going to continue to progress those. I'm going to do some dynamic bench workout tomorrow. I'm going to keep those modest. I'm going to keep those speedy and my shoulder heels up. Next week, we're going to be using a tighter pair of briefs, and we're going to go in the full suit for the deadlift. So I'm really excited to get back in the power diaper and see what I can do. It's going to be exciting stuff. So, guys, I'm down 120 pounds, so I think that's pretty good. I feel good. Again, I'm not as strong as I was when I was super heavyweight, but I don't care. My goals are pivoted, my goals are different. I want to be strong, I want to be lean, I want to be healthy, and I want to be the best coach I could be. So all these things are kind of moving the chains for me, so to speak. I'm just trying to chip away at my goals, but I really appreciate the support. And if you guys want to support us and you find value in this channel, check out the links below. Definitely check out the squat party, either, again, 9/28, so that's September 28th. At Maggie's Gym in Hellertown, PA, that's Ironstone Barbell. You can check out the links below. If you are on the Long Island area or you just want to come to visit our gym, we have a squat party September 29th, and that's at 11:30 a.m. check-in. So you can shoot me an email to gaglionstrength@gmail.com if you'd like to come to either squat party. If you want to check out the links below, rate our podcast, rate our Google page, rate our Facebook page. All those things help, but most important, let a friend know about our channel. Help spread the message of strength. Every little bit helps. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. I really appreciate the love and support you guys give us every week. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.